This conversation is brought to you by Smart SME by Santam, expert small business insurance that allows you to focus on growing your business. SMS Smart SME to 34852.
Connect with Nosipho on X at Nosipho_Radebe.
All right, 25 minutes now till 8 o'clock on Power Business, and we do this every Tuesday. It's a SME Grind, supported by Smart SME by Santam. And tonight on our SME Grind, we're joined by Ndumiso Madlala, the co-founder and CEO of Eyethu Beverages, a South African majority black-owned company specializing in both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Now, with a rich background in chemical engineering and years of experience working in the industry, working with industry giants like Heineken and SAB, Ndumiso has carved out a name for himself in the South African liquor industry, and he now joins us on Power Business to tell us all about it. Ndumiso, very good evening and good to have you with us on the show.
Good evening, Nosipho, and good evening to your listeners.
Yeah. So you've had a fascinating journey. It's taken you also to Pietermaritzburg, but maybe take us through, your journey, the beginning.
Okay, so I'm born and raised in the village of Ilenskop. Very proud of my village, and I did my primary school studying there in the village, secondary school in a strictly Roman Catholic school, so I'm strictly Roman Catholic. A lot of people always ask, how do you mix this then with what you do in business? We're a very liberal church. And then I went to the University of Natal in Durban, got a scholarship that took me to the Netherlands, came back and worked for Sasol a little bit, and then joined the brewing industry. And then in 2013 decided that it was it, starting on my own, and it's been 12 years without looking back, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, fantastic. And I just wanted to point out there's some similarities also from Pietermaritzburg and also Roman Catholic, so don't worry, I know exactly what you mean with the church is a bit liberal there.
Yes.
But then, Ndumiso, talk to us about what inspired then your journey into chemical engineering, coming, with this background from the village, but heading over to Natal to study. What was the motivation there?
Actually, up until matric, I was so sure that I wanted to be a doctor. My mom was a nurse, and she would encourage this all the time. Boy, you're smart enough, you can be a very good doctor. And just before I could apply to any medical school, I saw blood. And I was like, Andy's, I'm not coming. And that's when I decided to change careers.
Wait, hold on. I need to understand is this your own blood? Is this someone else's?
It was someone else's blood on TV.
Okay.
The cameraman just zoomed in on somebody who was injured in a soccer match. And till today, I'm scared of even my own blood. Be it for something as small as pricking my finger for the sugar test. I'm just really scared of blood.
It's so interesting.
I changed my mind there and there. I was like, nah, let me look for something else. And my brother advised me that I was very good in mathematics, so I must choose something that is really maths intensive. And chemical engineering is one of those degrees that combine the knowledge of nature's elements with very intensive mathematics, and it was a very good choice.
And it seems to be paying off. But let's look then at your impressive career, because you've also worked for major players like Sasol, SAB, Heineken, and SAB Miller. But what motivated then your transition from corporate role to starting your own business?
When I was in corporate, especially my last role with SAB Miller, it was so fascinating and so great. The perks, especially, I'll be sometimes able to borrow the private jet from the boss. Say, boss, I would like to go to Ghana. And he'll be like, okay, if your colleagues are coming with you, you need to be at least 10 in the private jet. Then, you can tell the pilots to take you to Ghana. And when I actually got the idea to start my own business, it was also inspired by one of the breweries we had in South Sudan. As soon as it seceded from the north, we went in as SAB Miller then. It's AB InBev nowadays. We built a brewery, and within our first year of trade, we made $10 million US. And flying back from South Sudan one day, I asked myself, why am I doing this for somebody else? Why can't I do it for myself? And I shoot from the hip, Nosipho. When something feels right, it just feels right. And I remember having a colossal fight with my sister. My sister was asking, why can't you stay working until you see if this thing works or not? Unfortunately, in the brewing industry, you can't have your own brewery whilst working for a brewery because there's sensitive, trade secrets, recipes, and so on and so forth. So I just shot from the hip. I told my boss I wanted to have my own brewery, and they asked me to resign. I did, and told me that if you failed, you can always come back because you were so good at your work. And it's been 12 years, so it's been going quite well.
Yeah, and I guess it's also reassuring knowing then that, from your boss that it's always, the doors are always open to return, because a lot of entrepreneurs are scared to take that leap, and you've, managed it quite well 12 years on. Maybe take us through how you navigated that leap then, because a lot of people, as your sister had also, cautioned you, maybe, think about this or, see if this is something viable, but you took the step. Talk to us about, that.
Oh, well, first of all, I think for me, the biggest shock was, understanding the investment landscape. I mean, from 2005 to 2013, I was in corporate, so 8 years of working and not knowing how to raise a single cent. Now, all of a sudden, I'm knocking at people's doors looking for money to build a brewery. And you hear about terms like skin in the game for the first time in your life. And that skin in the game obviously is capital that you need to put into your own business so that somebody else can trust to give you money to build what you want to do. So the journey was very fascinating in that we had to have a skin in the game when we started our first company. And that was Man Meat Brewing Company. I partnered with a Swedish partner. We started our own brewery in Soweto, and I remember we going to China to pay deposit for the brewery. I had to empty basically all my life savings from the 8 years I was working, and he did the same. He borrowed some money from his family in Sweden, and with this then we paid the deposit for the brewery, and then the Industrial Development Corporation borrowed us the rest of the money to do the business. And the other eye-opener was, you always borrow what you think is enough. And when you find that it is not enough, then you have to either go back to the funder and ask for more money, which becomes very difficult because they've signed off for what you asked for. Now, why do you want some more? So then the concept of selling shares becomes something new to you. You started your business, you've invested your own money into it. Now you have to sell equity to get more money. So we had to do exactly that. We found a very brilliant partner who gave us the money to do what we needed to do to complete the project. And I'm very happy that I was lucky in my first business to just work with wonderful people. Even in the current business, my business partner is a fascinating person to work with.
Certainly. Well, 17 minutes now to go till 8 o'clock on Power Business. We are speaking to Ndumiso Madlala, the co-founder and CEO of Eyethu Beverages. He joins us this evening for our regular Tuesday feature, SME Grind, that one supported by Smart SME by Santam. The number to dial if you want to talk to our guest this evening, 08619870000, or send a WhatsApp message to 083-303-7093. Now, Ndumiso, I want to know from you then, given this journey that you've had building the business and the beginning phases that challenge getting that skin in the game, as you point out, and the funding there. Were there any other sort of significant challenges that you had to overcome in the beginning stages of the business that, really remind you of the journey that you've traversed?
Yes, besides, I always tell other fellow entrepreneurs that, sometimes we focus on just the business side of things. If you look at the personal side of things, the biggest challenge that you face as an entrepreneur is you are so used to so much money that you're earning from corporate with perks, medical aid and everything. And now all of a sudden you have to earn peanuts, just to actually make your dreams come true. And that becomes quite a very difficult phase when you suddenly realize that, hey, hang on, am I not really impoverishing my family here? We were very good not so long ago affording everything. Now all of a sudden, we have to stop going to restaurants so often, So there's that personal aspect. But in business also, we tend to write those wonderful things called business plans, which are dreams, So you project numbers, and in your mind, when you draw up a business plan, you're very sure that you're going to do the numbers. And I think when it hits you that, it's not really, it does not really work that way, and the numbers are not exactly what you had expected them to be, it can be really heartbreaking, but there's ways to get around it and ways to make it grow. But I think that first phase of realizing that dreams and reality are basically far apart, it can be very much shocking. But obviously, some people get demoralized. Some people, it spurs them on to make it, the way they want it to be. And I think I'm the latter. I just decided, I'm just going to hang around here and make this brand very big.
Yeah, you definitely put in the work to close the gap there between your dream and what you wanted to be reality. Right. So, Ndumiso, let's look then at Eyethu Beverages, because it's known for its cider-based fermentation plant. Could you share more about the business's focus and the types of alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages in that you offer?
Well, Eyethu had a cider plant. We bought specifically cider plant because we're the second largest cider market in the world after the UK. And in 2021, we invited somebody to come and invest in our business. They came in, did a 15 minutes walkabout, and the next morning they offered me the type of money I'd never seen in my life. So I said yes, and I took the money and I bought a distillery for a specific reason. I always knew that there will come a time when South Africa needs to add bioethanol into fuel, and the time is now. We are a bit far behind. Even our neighbor Zimbabwe are already very far ahead. So we're the only company that has got a distillery that is geared up to make bioethanol tomorrow. If we needed to tune up the distillery, we will do it tomorrow. There's been very hard times in the past. Eyethu has experienced very hard times in the past. There has been times where you think maybe I should relinquish this asset, but somehow I held on to it, even though it has been dormant for a while. And this year we're turning it up, and it's very exciting. Yeah. And that's just part of what we do. We do beverages and we do bioethanols as well.
Yeah, that never give up attitude.
Yes.
I love it there, Ndumiso. But I want to take some calls now, so I'm going to ask you to please put on your headphones just as we take some calls from some of the listeners listening in this evening on our conversation for SME Grind, supported by Smart SME by Santam. Let's turn then to the phone lines. We've got Thuli from Mamelodi. Thuli, a very good evening and good to have you with us on the show. You want to speak to our guest Ndumiso this evening. Here's your chance.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for bringing someone in our industry. Hi, Ndumiso.
Hello, Thuli. How are you?
Ngiyaphila kanjani?
Ngiyaphila, sis.
Ngiyaphila, Ndumiso. I own a company called Eyethu Beverages.
Mm-hmm.
And my question to you, I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question is, I do non-alcoholic beverages.
Yes.
But my problem is when it comes to market access, especially the retail market, fermentation is a problem. Therefore, shelf life gets to be a big problem. So I'd like tips, right, on how to prolong without using harsh preservatives. Yeah?
Okay.
That's question number one. Question number two is, are you open for mentorship to mentor up-and-coming brewers? I don't call myself a brewer yet, but I am an upcoming one. I'm going to own one of the biggest brewers in South Africa. I'm going to be one of the first females here in South Africa. So do you offer mentorship to people like me?
All
But
right.
first of all, truly great attitude. That is very important. You should always see yourself as something, and it will always happen. You speak to the universe, and the universe delivers. Trust me, I'm living proof to this. To answer your questions, question number one, yes. Non-alcoholic brands are a bit of a problem when it comes to preservation because they don't have alcohol in it, and alcohol is a preservative, by the way, in itself. But don't worry, there is a solution to this, and it's called Valkyrin dosing. I'm using this very successfully in beer, and I attain shelf lives of 12 months and above. I'm starting also a non-alcoholic product, which I'm gonna Valkyrin dose. What Valkyrin is it's a very exciting product that has a very short it's called a half-life. So it is active for a very short time, and in that time that it's active, it kills all the bacteria and everything that has a potential to spoil your product. And then it's dead itself. It's not in the product. So it's not like your typical preservatives which become part and parcel of the product. And to answer your second question, yes, I'm very much open to mentoring you. You can contact me. I'm going to leave my contact details with Nosipho. I will be able to actually take you to a live brewery that's working, and you can hone your skills there and take you through the whole process of writing exams with the Institute of Brewing and Distilling, and then you become a proper brewer that can do whatever they want. You can own your own breweries. You can work for big brewing companies. Very, very open to that.
Oh, fantastic. Good news there for Tuli, and I'm so glad this worked out in her favor, this conversation with Ndumiso. But I'll pass her over then to our producer, and we'll get you guys in touch going forward then. But Ndumiso, maybe take us through, running a beverage company that requires not only innovation, but also operational excellence. What are some of the strategies in that you use to ensure that the business stays sustainable and keeps growing?
One of the key things also, on top of what you've mentioned, is understanding the trends, knowing exactly what is the next big thing. If you look at the South African trends, beer has a staying power, so it will always be there. So you always want to be in the beer space. There has been a movement into the non-alcoholic space. There has been a big movement into low alcohol beers for health purposes. If you look at ready to drinks, gin and tonic has been something in the market, and it's been doing very well. And the market is moving now to rum and cola, and that's the next big thing. So you have to basically know the trends. You have to look around the world and see what's also trending, and try and introduce that to South Africa. That's the nice thing about South Africans. They're always eager for new things. They're always eager to try new things. And right now I have the only alcoholic ginger beer in the market. And that is working very well because I do it in a very unique way, a trade secret. So all the brands around the world that are basically of the same league, they could not taste like my product because the way I do it, the way I ferment it, it's very different, and it just makes it stand out.
Yeah, fantastic. We're going to take a quick break, Ndumiso. We still want to unpack more about your journey, more about Eyethu Beverages, but we'll take a break, and then we'll continue the conversation on SME Grind, supported by Smart SME by Santam.
You're listening to Power Business with Nosipho Radebe.
All right, 6 minutes now till 8 o'clock in conversation with Ndumiso Madlala, the co-founder and CEO of Eyethu Beverages, joining us for our SME Grind, supported by Smart SME by Santam. Let's take some calls quickly before we run out of time. We've got Kobela from Winterveld joining us on the line now. A very good evening to you, and you have a question for Ndumiso. You want to weigh into the conversation. I hope I got your name right first, Kobela, but please, have your say this evening.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Ndumiso.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm in the vegetable beverage space. Very tricky because shelf life, you can imagine. is one of our biggest hurdles. And you mentioned something around another creative way of doing extending the shelf life without adding other preservatives. But I think maybe we should have a conversation offline if you don't mind. But I wanted to find out, are you open to co-package? So, I mean, one of the biggest expenses of owning a beverage line is the packaging. And just the packaging to run a line is quite expensive. You would know. Are you open for someone who's got a blend of some sort that you can co-package with, and they basically pay you a fee for the package line?
Right.
I was hoping that we're going to get to that and discuss it in detail with Nosipho, but I can just say it now to answer your question. My business strategy is twofold. I own brands, but I'm also a co-packer. I've just been funded recently by the NEF. Shout out to the NEF. You guys are wonderful. To develop my co-packaging factory in Newcastle in KZN. So yes, I'm going to have a canning line. I already have 2 bottling lines. Then I'm busy installing a canning line. And I'm looking at PET line. So I want to be a one-stop shop. So you can come to me with your formulation. I'll be able to put it into any package you desire, from 275 mils all the way up to 650. We're looking in future into going into 750 as well. We are a diverse business. So if you do have product and you need your product to be packaged, please contact me. I do have a solution for you.
Oh, fantastic. We'll hand him over then to our producer, Bukosi, to hopefully, get you guys in touch then going forward. But then, before we run out of time, Ndumiso, maybe take us through, you've had some notable success. You've done quite a bit with the business Eyethu Beverages. Take us through maybe some of the notable successes that you would want to tell us.
People always ask me what has been the most wonderful time or wonderful thing that has happened to you in business. Forget about the money. I think I've done very well. I've done 2 transactions in my life. One was the sale of Soweto Gold to Heineken. I put in one of my investors 225% return in 4 years.
Wow.
Everybody who works in an investment office will tell you that if they get 20% within 5 years, they've done very well.
Yeah.
The last investment I did with the cider plant, I gave the investor 60% return on investment within 24 months. So I've been very lucky, and I've really made people rich out there. Okay, enriching myself in the process as well. But money for me is something that you can make and lose. You can have, you cannot have. For me, the most wonderful moment in business that I can recall, and it will stay in my mind forever, was that one day in March 2016 when I was named the Township Entrepreneur of the Year. Oh my goodness, that was such a proud moment. I was 36, going to turn 37 that year, so I was pretty young. And being recognized as the best in the township, it really, it gave me so much confidence, to go forward and also get self-assurance that this thing is really for me. I'm a businessman, I can do it, so that was the proudest moment for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. And on that note then, to end off this conversation, what would success look like for you?
Besides a holiday in the Maldives every week, let me see. Success for me, honestly, Nosipho, would be where the industry that I'm in is a game changer in terms of employing South Africans. I'm already doing that in KZN, and I hope to expand and employ more young people. There is nothing that makes me so proud than seeing somebody being able to support their family because they work in my business. So success for me would be to see jobs being created, lives being changed, and people being very happy. I like it when people are happy in my work environment, and I make sure of it. So that's what for me success would look like, and that's one thing I dream about every day, to employ more South Africans.
Oh.
Yes.
On that positive note, we're going to have to leave it there. Ndumiso, thank you so much for taking the time, joining us in studio, and taking us through your journey. All right, that was Ndumiso Madlala, the co-founder and CEO of Eyethu Beverages, joining us for SME Grind this evening, supported, of course, by Smart SME by Santam. That wraps up this evening's edition of the show. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us this evening. Thank you to Bukosi for the wonderful content as always. Stelo and Hlehle running the desk. I'm Nosipho Radebe. Have yourselves a fantastic evening. Stay tuned. Up next for Power Perspective. But first, 8 o'clock, news time with Karusha Naika.
This conversation was brought to you by Smart SME by Santam. Tailored insurance that covers the all in small business. SMS Smart SME to 34852 or visit santam.co.za.